As a reminder, last time we had Andre, workshop facilitator. Unfortunately, he couldn't get today, but I think that we kind of the next dashboard meeting, he should be able to make that one, and he'll probably kind of like go over the whiteboard that we created last time and try to improve on that. But this time, because he couldn't make it, so I'm just going to go over some of the changes that we made. We've added a base template for every page now. Each page is now in its separate folder. So each page has a README file where you can basically describe it. Secondly, so all the pages, they will have a similar kind of front section. It's basically going to call this initialize st page method, and we pass in the title of the dashboard and the icon, and then that will initialize the front part of your dashboard correctly. So that should add a bit more structure to the actual dashboard. And we've also been adding other Streamlit dependencies, as Fede will show you, that allows you to do a lot more. Plan to really invest into making dashboard something that anyone in Hummingbot can use. So Fede and I are planning to spend a lot of time over the next probably month or two, really focusing on this bot orchestration dashboard. I think that it's quite possible to make the full experience of launching multiple instances, managing them, configuring them, and doing basically everything that you would need to do. It will take some time because there's a lot of we're pushing the boundaries of what Streamlit is capable of. But I think also there's a lot of complexities to manage potentially from a user experience standpoint. But I do think that if we kind of make this a good experience, then it could actually really help everyone Hummingbot a lot. But I want to turn over to Fede.
A lot of cool things happens, as Mike mentioned, since last week. This dashboard some of these will be moved to this Analyze tab later on. That is something that Drupman is going to do. But well, like the backend and the core functionalities of the backtesting, on the abstraction of the strategies, all that stuff, is ready to test for the one that wants to do so. This is the part of the backtesting.
Can you go into just a bit more detail on when you have that after you've done backtesting, right? And you have, let's say, the best
trial.
Yeah. So what does that data look like?
As you can see here, each trial will have certain attributes like the net profit USD, the net profit percentage, the max drawdown, the Sharpe ratio, the accuracy, the position that you take. All this information is available, so later on you can filter and decide which is the best strategy for you. So for example, let's say that we would like to, for this study, we would like to compare the execution of different strategies. As you can see here in the code, when we generate the code here, we have certain variables that are going to be the ones that Optuna is going to iterate and test different values. And there are other ones that we are going to store for each run. So as you can see here, in the parallel coordinate, this is a very good graph because it shows you relationships between high-dimensional data. In this case, we're using multiple variables. So for example, the objective is a P&L. So if we want to see which are the combinations of parameters that has a very high P&L, we can filter this, and this is going to show us that we have to use a Bollinger Band length of this value. The threshold should be like this, in this range. So this will be the next space that we should be optimizing or searching for. And the one that Optuna is going to look for to make the optimization. So once you understand this, you can select different values or run another optimization based on this graph and say, okay, if I have to select the values, you will need to define the time limit, take profit, stop loss, don't MACD, signal, interval, and all this stuff is going to be the things that you are seeing here. And based on the range that you would like to select, you can change that. An important thing is that, for example, if you also care about the total positions, you can add the total positions to this graph, and that will let you, for example, filter I would like to see a bot that enters in the most of the positions. So if you want to have this amount of positions at a time, you will see which are the combinations that lets you do something like that. But regarding to also you have here another questions like relationships between hyperparameters, you have contour plots, you have cumulative distribution functions. So you have a lot of things like to review here. I think that it's not a good idea to run the dashboard of Optuna at the same time that I'm running the optimization because it's a little bit buggy. But well, once the optimization finish and all that stuff, I think that is going to be better to run them at the same time, or probably it's going to be better to use a Postgres database instead of an SQLite, because I think that when you are writing into a database and also reading, is a little bit messy.
Actually, can you focus on the graph on the top here, the one with all the points? This one here. So yeah. Is there one here? Are all the points basically like the number of trials and is objective zero basically profitability? Is that or
each point is a different study. Each point is like a run with a different parameters. So you have the number of the trial, the ID of the trial, and as you can see in the x-axis we have the number of trials. So it's a trial 400, 600, and the y-axis we have the objective function that in this case is the PNL. So as you can see, this orange line shows us which was the best level of the PNL that we have for each configuration. So you can select like different trials to compare, for example, from here. And if you want to check which is the best one, you have here this best trial that says the number is 1,137, and the PNL was 8% of that trial. And here you have the parameters of that trial. And another thing that I asked Drupman to change when he commits the PR, but I think that I'm going to do it because the code editor is going to be the one that I tested this week, is that here, if we add a trial, set user attribute, config, and a JSON or a dictionary with the configuration used, like all in one single value, then we can use the information from the database of Optuna, and using Pydantic, we can import that JSON and just run that strategy. But for now, we just need to use the values of the indicators that we have here in order to make it work. So for example, if you want to use the best trial, you will need to select a Bollinger Band length of 213. The threshold will be this one. So you have to use these values that are going to be, for example, here, if you want to go to backtest, these are the values that you have to complete in this form.
Looking at not just the probability, but kind of filtering by different parameters and looking at the impact of different things. Because if you notice, like the best trials, it was more like a curve like this. So it's like you don't just want to pick like the best trial, right? What I think you want to do is you want to understand the relationship between the best trials that are all in this 6% and above category, and see like what are the other parameters that are being affected. Are there some that are simpler than others? And so I think backtesting is like you're really trying to understand the relationship between the different hyperparameters in your feature set, so that you can identify which ones have the most impact on your P&L.
Yeah, and that is why I recommend a lot the hype plot graph. I think that at first can be a little bit noisy, the one that I shows how to filter certain ranges, but sometimes you have a PNL very high and you see that the bot only takes one position. So if you put in that graph the sharp radio, you put also, I don't know, the total positions taken, you put the PNL, and then you filter, you're going to find the spaces where the another hyperparameters are like the ranges of those parameters. So based on that, I think that you should be running another optimization, more like precise on those ranges, and you're going to have another set of studies. So it's like a huge optimization that the one that you are going to do later on. Later on, I will build something like this for machine learning to show you how to. And probably I think that this is going to be bot content, how to build machine learning models or deep learning models with this, and how to build like dynamic architectures, because each trial can have a different architecture of the previous one, and the hyperparameter performance is going to show you, okay, the number of layers is something really important, and this shows you which is the impact of the hyperparameter into the result of the objective function that we are looking for. Well, are you ready for this, guys? This is like the new orchestration B2. I'm using this branch right now. Now we are using React components to render all the different cards and things that we are showing here. For example, I don't know, who is in the, I don't know, Wujak. I will create a Wujak bot. So Wujak is going to be a new bot that I will have here. And as you can see, once I create the bot, it's going to, usually Hummingbot takes, I don't know, 10 seconds to run. But if I refresh now, I can see now that I have here this Hummingbot Bujak instance, right? Also, I have the Hummingbot broker running. If it's not running, if I stop it, you will see that now I can't use, here says stopping Hummingbot broker. You're not going to be able to use it again or control your bots. So here it says you have a warning messages that says, please start the Hummingbot broker to control your bots. So if you click here, you're going to be able to control the bots. The broker takes like 30 seconds to start, so be patient with that. But well, once the broker is running, then you can communicate with your bots and start and stop strategies. As you can see, this has less bugs than the dashboard that I presented before the bug testing, because I think that these React components works much more better than the Streamlit components that we have that we were using before. So, for example, here we have this Wujak bot. By default, we will have a master bot conf folder that will hold all the scripts and all the configuration files for strategies. So when the bot is created, you have access to all the scripts that Hummingbot has. So for example, I will run the candles example that is just initializing the candles. If I select the example and I press start, you will see that here is running. It's taking like, I don't know, some seconds to start. And if I refresh, you will see that here I'm seeing the formal status of the bot. The cards are resizable, so this is another thing that is pretty cool, is that you can resize the pages as you want. Here, as you can see, I have another bot that is excited. If I go to this Docker dashboard, you will see, where is the Docker dashboard? It is here. You will see that I have Hummingbot Wujak and I have the daemon here. So if now I start the Hummingbot daemon, it's going to, I will refresh it. Well, this is one of the features that is just to start and control your containers, your bots. You can do this. Also, you can, for example, Wujak, I will stop you. And also, Hummingbot takes like 15 seconds to stop. It's a process that I don't know why, but it takes a little bit to kill the container. But as you can see here, I have Hummingbot Wujak here in stop instances, and I can delete the container, and this will remove all the folders and clean the container. So if now I run this delete container, you will see that now it is, if I go to the Docker dashboard, I'm not seeing Wujak anymore. So, well, this is like the functionalities of the orchestration, or how to handle and manage multiple bots. Now let's go to the thing that I did yesterday that Mike didn't he didn't see this, so I think that you're going to like it. But yeah, this is, I created a file management because usually you would like to modify the files inside the different bots. So here you have this file explorer. As I have Hummingbot daemon and the master conf, you can drop here and you will see all the scripts that are available, and also the YAMLs for the strategies. And if you click, for example, this strategy and you want to modify it, you can click here and you will have a Visual Studio Code here to edit the code, just like that. Yeah, I know that you are going to like it. And also you can use light mode or dark mode.
Light mode.
Yeah.
Did you do it yesterday?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I told you I did fascismo. So, also you can actually edit more than one file, and you have here like this this thing to move before in the different files. And for example, you can here also delete some files.
Okay.
So, for example, here you can delete. Yesterday I added a button here that is to add a new file, but actually I don't think that is good for in terms of UX, because I think that a new page here will be needed, that is create a strategy, and I can like auto generate code as I did for the optimization code. I can auto generate code.
We should use it to really help users modify, and add files. But it's like we should be careful not to like replicate the functionality of the file system, because it's like the user can use, let's say, terminal to do all of these actions. Like, the most technical users would prefer to do that instead of having us rebuild the functionality of terminal here. However, for non-technical users, this is a godsend. But if we do it right, this would be like incredibly. This is really balance both ease of use as well as flexibility / power for that individual user, because it allows them to, just like add a file, but also use a template to, create one and edit it afterwards, or something like that.
Well, this is like the updates of the orchestration. All this stuff was made since last Thursday, like the React stuff and the managed files and all the things. So I am very happy with the results.
Couple ideas, I think, from the chat. So Wojak, he said, if we have a massive amount of strategy files, then having a file explorer select the file would make more sense. It's using terminal, the file list would become like a coffee. So I think the way we think about it is like, it's like when you're running a bot, right? When you're running a bot, you're kind of like selecting which strategy file to use, or maybe it's going to pop you into like the create strategy file experience. But overall, I think the list of strategy files should be like available to all the bot instances you're creating. So Launch Hummingbot, it comes with like the default list of scripts and the strategies it ships with, and then you can also so it allows you to modify, like load those into the bot, but you can also add your custom script or strategy into that location, and then load that from each of your bot instances. So, but I do think I think that, in my opinion, it would make sense to separate like the strategy creation and the config file management, and separate that from the bot management part.
Yeah, well, actually, that was one thing that I have doubts is like, should we have like just and that is why I created the master conf folder. So when a new instance is created, you can copy that, and then the individual bot can have like his own configuration or change a script or whatever, because mainly like the scripts are going to have modifications in the configuration that you have as class variables probably. So that's why I created like that main conf folder. And if we create a new strategy, that should be created inside the main master conf folder. And then when you copy a new bot or create or launch a new instance of the bot, we should have that. But the other question was, should we copy all the scripts, or when we are creating the new container, we should select which are the strategies that we want to use? That is like another thing, because probably when you create a container, you want to use, I don't know, 2 strategies, and you can just copy those. So,
right. So
that's another thing.
I think it gets to I think it's a good question. And so maybe let me ask a more philosophical question, which is like kind of like when you're starting an instance, and this is more as a user, like it's like kind of like, do you want to kind of like use that instance and use like multiple strategies? Do you want to have every strategy be available to instance, and then kind of like swap strategies in and out? Or do you want to have like, or this is more like, would you want to start a bot, start an instance, the single strategy, and then if you want to start a new strategy, you would just take down that new bot and start a new one. Because like right now, I think we're kind of like, there's multiple layers of flexibility we're building in. So right now, I think our model is when you have an instance, you can basically define which strategy the instance is running, right? So so that kind of assumes that you want to keep this instance alive, like kind of thing. And it's not something. It's not a temporary kind of like construct. So that's why in that world, to me, it would make sense to have like a local copy of all the strategies available to an instance, so you can like switch things in and out. But I think I think a simpler model that might be simpler is one where it's like the instance and the strategy is like tied together. So it's like when you start at bot, it's like automatically you select which strategy is going to run, and when you stop the strategy, it's like then it's like one instance is tied to one strategy, and you don't need to have all the other strategies available.
But I don't know, it's like up to the community, because I don't know, for example, Memento says that if it's for experimenting or something like that, probably you would like to have one bot and modify the things from the bot, change the name of the strategy or whatever, or you would like to, I don't know, create a bot. If it's a bot that you are using to develop a strategy, probably you would like to create the container and then go to the other tab. For example, it would be like, I don't know, development. So you can create here a bot. Also, you can access it to the terminal if you want. But here we are going to have the new bot that is the development. Also, I think that here we have to add the flexibility to select which is a Docker image that you would like to use. Yeah. There are some other things. But suppose that we have this bot that is development. Here I have the bot development, so I don't know, you would like to go to the candles example or whatever, and then modify here instead of using the here is the candles example. Instead of using these pairs for this bot, I would like to change them and use another pairs. And then with this, then I would like to go here and start my new bot. So it's like here is like you have the IDE to code and run strategies. So we are going to lose that flexibility in that case.
Ideally, you could modify the individual script or strategy that's the bot's running, but most of the time you want to modify as a master list that's available to all your bots. Create a very simple UI for now. Just try to have people test it out basically, and try to not be too fixated on any one solution, but just really push the changes, have people test different bots, and tell us like what is the ideal user experience that you want to see, and we'll try to just Memento has a good comment, which I think we should address, which is he thinks the interface should have like a different like a plugin type of mindset. I totally agree. There should be like philosophical differences, in terms of like what the interface should look like, how it should work, and anything else like that. And this is actually why we have this like community model for Dashboard. So I would say the idea is that Fade and Aggregate, we're going to work on this bot orchestration dashboard, and because that way we can control how it works and how it looks like. But anyone else is free to create other dashboards. It's open source. Feel free to copy the templates and everything else we're doing. But I do think that I feel like it's like I think that the idea of dashboards is that you can create whatever you want. And submit it as a PR. We'll merge it in, just as an example of the community dashboards. But I think that this doesn't have to be the canonical dashboard. But I think for orchestration, I think we want to at least try to make sure we define what it looks like, because also it's not that we're wedded to this. It's more that I think I feel like speed is our number one asset, and the faster we move and just getting something up and running and people using it, the more that we can just improve on the foundation that we have. But we don't want to stop other people from building, like other dashboards, like using other models.
The File Explorer, yeah, because we are not only targeting the developers, but we are targeting all the kind of users that you want. And one of the things that I think that I heard the most in Hummingbot is that you have like an easy way to configure your bots. It's like if you want to change the configuration, you have to go enter in the terminal, access to SSH to where you have the terminal, then change the configuration from the YAML, and then stop, enter in the terminal of Hummingbot, run stop, and then run start again, and then run Control-P, Control-Q, and then close the terminal. So with this, is like all that stuff is like resuming just clicking in one button and change the value of the configuration.
And I think this dashboard actually makes it a lot easier for hedge funds to start adopting Hummingbot. Mainly because I've met a lot of hedge fund managers in crypto. A lot of them, the hedge fund managers, because they can raise capital, not because they're super technical in code. So typically they're looking for some tool they can run that can help them deploy fancy machine learning based strategies that they can sell to the investors. And so in my opinion, I think that they're optimizing more for ease of use than for professional looking.
When I was working in a hedge fund, we do it in a much more manually way. So we have a dashboard to consolidate all the metrics, but to access to the configuration, all that stuff was a pain in the ass, because you will need to have like a main way to configure all the bots, and that is like not solved by Hummingbot. And if we are thinking about individuals, I don't know, like, I think that Wujak was running a lot of bots, and he has his own setup to deploy the strategies and all that stuff. I think that having a web server that he can access from anywhere, he can also put a password if he wants, just modify the things from the web in the beach, is like something that is going to be a game changer for the UX of the bots.
We'll make sure this is something that I think people can use in a professional environment. I'll just put it this way, because I actually, I don't know, for those of you who don't know, I worked at Citigroup and JP Morgan for 9 years. So I've used a lot of tools that people in professional trading environments use. And I'll just say this. Traders and people who work at large financial institutions are used to using some really crappy, really crappy software, like really bad user experience. And so I think we can do much better with what we have here.
One of the biggest issues of Hummingbot that we are trying to solve is how a new user gets started with the bot, or how a new user can write a strategy or change the way he's like interacting with an exchange or something like that. So if the user can just run a Docker Compose app, have the dashboard, create a new bot with a dashboard, and write code there, is like, I don't know if you tried OneConnect before, but you just write the code in the web. So that kind of user that doesn't want to install an IDE, or if you don't want to have an IDE in the instance that you are using, or you don't know how to use SSH remote servers, all that stuff, is like I think that a game changer. You just need to run Docker Compose up, and you are able to change code, write code, write strategies, test your new strategy that you write from the web app. So, well, I think that is a thing that will help a lot of not technical users. For me, if you ask, hey, Fede, are you going to use this to develop your strategy? No, I'm not going to use it because I prefer to use PyCharm and code my strategy in my computer, as probably Memento is going to do by himself. But for a non-technical user, probably is a much more better idea to use them from the web.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask one thing, which is that we'll probably do another meeting like this in probably 1 month or so, because we want to focus on actually building this thing instead of just doing lots of meetings. One thing we're announced is we're going to do like something in Asia in mid-September. It's not public yet because we're going to propose something. We actually announced a proposal, but we're going to propose to sponsor the Token 2049 conference in Singapore, and then afterwards run something we're calling a Hummingbot Hacker House in Bali afterwards for a 4-day period from September 15th to 19th. So overall, we think of this like Hacker House period, Bali, time frame as a kind of like basically a forcing function for us to launch this dashboard project and maybe do a training competition, basically doing something fun around this September 15th to 19th event. Fede and I are just going to work, hard, hopefully, on this dashboard.
And whatever it takes.
Yeah, whatever it takes, So actually, Fede, do you want to explain what fascismo is?
What fascismo is? Okay, fascismo is like when you work like hard until, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 a.m. Drupman also knows what is fascismo. But yeah, we're going to do a lot of fascismo.
Yeah. So we're going to do that, and it'll be awesome. And we also invite anyone from the community to join us as well. In Bali, the house is located in Seminyak. So it's basically in Seminyak. I guess September 15th, 19th is the house. It's a pretty nice house. So like we actually might have spare bedrooms, honestly, if people want to crash, I guess, in the house. But anyway, we'll have more details once we actually propose this, do the proposal and actually get that approved, because this will be a community event for us. But we do think of this event as kind of like the launch for the dashboard.
Hi Mike, hi Fede, hi everyone. Today I will show you some advances in the strategy performance page. If you don't have any healthy database, you're going to get this message. I have defined a status property in the database manager class. It's available in the utils of the project. So now what I'm going to do is to clear the cache, and I'm going to refresh this page so you can see the new layout. I've been working in expanding a little bit more these metrics that we have previously, because they were too, I don't know how to compress it. So I expanded a little bit more. Here you have these 4 filters. You have a database to select. Here you only will get the healthy databases. So I have 2 examples here. I have one without market data and the other with market data. The only difference between these 2 databases is that if you don't have candles, you will get this message here in the candlestick section. So I will just use this one that they have with the market data. So the main feature here I will presenting is that you have this paginated candlestick. You can just expand it or compress it. I don't know which is the correct word for that. But here you will get, according to this candles per page value, you will, for example, here you have 100 candles. If you put 200 candles, you will get 200. So this is basically like a first time filter, so your computer doesn't crash when you are loading these candles, because when you backtest, I don't know, maybe in a second interval, and it's for 1 year. Your dashboard will never load. So this is the first thing. You can change here your interval, and you have this page selector. So this is automatically set. Here I have 5 minutes. If I choose 3 minutes, I will have more pages. And if I have, I don't know, 6 hours, I won't have pages and I will show everything here. So I made a little improvement in the candlestick. It's auto-sized because it's set on the top of the y-axis. It's the max high value of the candles, and in the mean value, you have the minimum low of the candles. Nothing, you can just come here and you can change your pages and you will get different information according to this. And finally here down, I added this, you previously were showing these tables, now it's inside an expander, a Streamlit expander, because it's more friendly to the view, and you can open them, and if you want you can just download it on CSV. Here we have trade field, or you can do the same with orders and order status. They all work. So this is merged. So if you want to try this, you just need to pull or clone your main branch. I opened this wiki because we have all of these metrics here that were previously defined by Fede. This is very general, because I think that Hummingbot works with a lot of strategies. You can make directional grid strategies, market making. I don't know, there are a lot of strategies. So if some of the community members have any idea, you can throw them here so you can add your more general metrics.
Thank you very much for adding to the wiki. This is exactly what I had in mind when I created it.
One downside of this is that we can't like merge the new React components with Streamlit components. That is something that is like not possible. Why it's difficult a little bit to code this new thing. But I actually think that if we can create a Streamlit component that is wrapping the JS candlesticks that TradingView offers, that is public, that will be a really game changer in terms of UX, and we can move all the dashboard to use React components to show the performance. Another thing that I discussed with Drupal yesterday is that this page that is strategy performance, right now, if you check the Docker Compose files that we have, all the bots are mounting the data folder to the data folder that we have in the main directory. But each container of the ones that we are creating with the bot orchestration has his own data folder inside the configuration. So we will need to add this strategy performance to the bot orchestration for each bot that is running to analyze it.
From the orchestration view, there should be like a way to click on the bot and see like the bot, what I call it, the control panel, right?
Yes, you can start by selecting your bot and see this, yes.
Yeah. So the control panel should include performance as well.
Yeah. Well, we can also go to this page, like a link to go to this page with a variable.
Or link to this page. Yeah, we can go to we can link to this page and populate the data somehow as well.
Yeah. But one thing about what Wojciech is mentioning, that he doesn't like the idea of wrapping the code, is like the standard way to create Streamlit components, to wrap JS or TypeScript or React code to use it in Streamlit. If you go to Streamlit components or the development of Streamlit components, they have a section there that explains exactly how to create this, and it's like the predefined way to do so.
I'd like to make a proposal, create a new tab here. As Fede showed us, you can use terminal code editors and stuff like that. So I was thinking in something like a SQL editor that you can just query your database and see if you can choose any chart for your data and try to render it. So this is very experimental. I haven't done any advances on this yet, but I think that it would give the user that custom analysis that he's looking for in that case. I don't know what you think.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think it makes sense. Yeah.
Nice. One final comment I like to add is that here in the backtesting wiki page, this is for the community members. Here in the tab, backtesting tab, here when you run this backtesting button, you have this visualization part. This that is checked is already added to this experimental branch. If you want to pull it, you can check it. I have this particular more metrics bullet that it's like a brainstorming, so all members can add the metrics that they are looking for. So feel free to add anything you want. We will check if it's possible, and if so, we will add it. I'm really based on TradingView strategy metrics. So this is how this looks. You have these metrics up here. You have these positions chart. When you have these options, you have this. This is in Spanish. I don't have it in English. These are all the metrics. You can see it in all metrics for long and for short. Here you have this transactions table. Here you have these properties that are more related to the run configs. For example, I don't know, date range or symbol or trading pair, entries, properties, stuff like that. So I'm basing in this because I think it's really useful, and I don't think that we need to reinvent the wheel in this case because TradingView is pretty powerful.
This is an amazing update, actually. I would say we've been doing these every 2 weeks, but we also need to give ourselves time to actually work on. We are going to make some changes to our bot camp program. So one thing that Fede and I will do, in addition to dashboard, is work on the content for this dashboard program. So in general, I think we'll do less more public calls. However, I'm really excited about the dashboard project because I think that it really showcases the power of community. Because obviously, if Fede and I were just working on it alone, we could build some cool stuff. But I think having Drewman involved, getting the feedback from everyone on the call, and also having folks getting involved as well, on creating more dashboards, using the current ones, providing feedback, I think just results in honestly a more fun experience. I think the main thing we want is feedback. So just try it out. If you especially these some of the new React Streamless stuff we're trying, because it's really pushing the boundaries, honestly, of what Streamless is capable of.
Yeah. I also would like to say thanks to the community members that are always here, like Memento, Uja, Drupman that is very active too now. So if it's not for you guys, probably we will be slower. So thank you for being always here. Just the last thing that I would like to show you guys, that are the components that I created for this React draft idea. And for example, this is the bot performance card. That is the card that I created to show the active bot, for example. As you can see, it's all Python. And we have some, for example, actions, or I don't know, if you have a select, we can have the on change, as we have the React and other stuff. And we have lazy, this function is like this code will not reload the page of Streamlit. This is actually from this Streamlit elements library that is creating the wrappers for the material UI and other kind of charts.
Okay.
The main problem that we have is it is not a real library. This material UI is like wrapping the code. If you go here and write with that, I have a Copilot helping me, but if I got grid and I'm checking for type hints, I don't have any type hint. And if I click here to go to a definition, but it's not possible to access, in this case, grid is not that grid, actually. It's like another grid. But if you go here, you see cannot find declaration. So you are not able to access to the properties. And what you have to do is to go here and read the code, how this component is used, and translate that to Python. Just for the ones that wants to get involved with this.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Well, it's basically it's like JavaScript. It's like a jQuery like JavaScript framework.
Regarding to the idea of being able to create a bot in another server, I think that I can do that. Well, in one community call, I presented how to use STP. So probably the only thing that we are going to need are like some PEMPs or credentials to communicate with different instances. So it would be easy. Right now, I'm copying the files to a directory and then starting the bot with those volumes. But I can just copy the files from the local machine to a server and then start the container in the server. But I think that would be a little bit overwhelming at first, and probably it's better to just have that being like working in just one single computer, well tested, the UI, and don't introduce like more complexity right now until we have a good product for one machine, probably.
But right now, I think it's more important to get the configuration part right, where it's like it's showing the information for one bot, and it's like you can do one thing for one bot. Thanks everyone. But we will try to give an update at the next. We're going to do a call in 2 weeks because it's already on the calendar for it's a how-to call. It's probably going to be the last how-to call we do because we're going to transition to more kind of botcamp specific, private. All right.
Okay.
Thanks everyone. See you next time.
Well,
bye.
Bye.